Hi, it's Helen from Mind Gift, and today's session is part 3 of the instruction manual for the mind. And what we're going to talk about today is your internal sat-nav. Essentially, it's a heat-seeking missile in your brain called your reticular activating system that goes out looking for information, depending on the instructions the captain has given the crew about what to bring into your world. Okay, so first of all, just a little bit about us, because a few people have been asking questions. Paul and I are both qualified in something called NLP. We're NLP coaches and practitioners. I'm a master practitioner and Paul's also a personal trainer. So we're called Mind Gift because your mind is a gift and your mind and your body are intrinsically linked. That's why we work with people with the mind and the body. And what I'm here to help you with is your mind, obviously. But if you do want to know any more about us, then just go to our website, www.mindgift.co.uk, and you'll get our contact details on there. So let's go with part 3. I'm going to tell you a story to start today. So today's story is about a ferryman. And this particular ferryman, he takes people day in, day out between two islands. One is Fun Island and one is Dream Island. And on this particular day, he pulls up at Fun Island and he's there waiting. He goes roughly every hour and he's waiting for people to get on. And a gentleman comes along with a couple of suitcases. And he's sort of trudging himself along and he gets up to the ferry and he chucks his cases down and he plonks himself down, he folds his arms and he says, "Are we not going yet? Surely it's time to go." And the ferryman says, "Oh, just a couple of minutes. We go on the dot, on the hour. We'll get going if no one else gets on soon. Just give people a bit of time." So he huffs and puffs. "Just want to get on with it," he says. Anyway, a few minutes go by and nobody else gets on, so they set off on the way to Dream Island. And on the way to Dream Island, the ferryman, he does like to have a bit of a chat. So he says to the gentleman, what are you up to then? Because you've got suitcases, doing something nice. And the gentleman says, I'm leaving. I've had enough. He said, I'm moving off the island. I'm going to go and see, I'm going to go and live on Dream Island. And the ferryman said, "Oh, right, okay, interesting." And so the gentleman says to him, "Actually," he says, "you must meet loads of people from the island." He says, "Can you tell me what the people are like over there on Dream Island?" And the ferryman said, "Yeah, of course I can." He says, "First of all, could you tell me what the people are like on Fun Island?" And this gentleman says, "Well, that's it. That's the whole reason I'm leaving, really." He says, "They're miserable, they're grumpy, they're mean, they're horrible. No one give you the time of day. Everyone's unkind, really negative about everything. They're just awful people, always angry and just not for me." So the ferryman says, "Oh, right, okay, interesting." So as they're pulling up now at Dream Island, he's tying up the ferry and the guy stands up and he says, "Well, what are the people like? You said you'd tell me." And the ferryman says, "I'm really sorry," he says. "I'm afraid you're going to find the people on Dream Island exactly as you found them on Fun Island." And the ferryman says, the gentleman says, "Oh, well, I can't see that they can be any worse, can they? I'll have to give it a go anyway. I'm here now." And off he goes. And later on the day, the ferryman is trekking back and to again, and later on in the afternoon, a young girl comes along and she's also got suitcases, and she tumbles along and gets on the ferry and she sits down. She's looking at what she says, "Oh, are we going yet? I can't wait. And the ferryman says, "Yeah, not long, couple of minutes, just waiting to see if anyone else gets on." She says, "Oh, I'm so excited." He says, "Oh, no problem, we're on our way soon." Anyway, nobody else gets on, so off they go. And the ferryman, once again, he starts his conversation. So he says, "So what are you up to?" He says, "You've got suitcases, you're doing something nice." She says, "Oh, I'm going on an adventure." She says, "I've never been off the island before, off Fun Island. I'm going to Dream Island, see what it's like over there. I'm going travelling." So the ferryman says, "Oh, lovely." She says, I am a little bit apprehensive though." She says, "Can you tell me what the people are like over there on Dream Island? Because you must meet them." And he says, "Yeah, sure, of course I can. First of all, can you tell me what the people are like on Fun Island?" She says, Oh, well, that's the thing. She says they're marvellous. Everybody's lovely, always happy, always smiling. They make you laugh. They're so kind and generous, would do anything for you. It's a lovely, lovely place to be. So he says, oh, right, wow, interesting. And he's tying up his ferry again. She gets up. She says, well, what are the people like? Now, with that in mind, let's talk about your reticular activating system, which is your RAS. And I don't want you to again have to remember these terms. Don't worry about it. But it is like an internal sat-nav in your mind. So think like your sat-nav in your car, where you put a postcode in and you get to a destination, okay? So your mind takes instructions, your captain gives instructions to the crew about what is of interest to it. And because there's millions of bits of information coming into our senses all day, day in, day out, we have to filter some out because we actually couldn't take it all in, or we'd be just completely overwhelmed. So we can roughly take 8 to 9 bits of information, pieces of information a second. And even that, when you think about it, is quite a lot, isn't it? If I'm handing you 8 bits, and then 8 bits, then 8 bits, then 8 bits. So we have to filter things out. What that means is we actually ignore lots of stuff because we only find the stuff, or our mind, because of our reticular activating system, our sat-nav, only finds the stuff that we've asked it to find. Now, an easy example to try and help you understand this is when someone you know gets a new car that you've never heard of. So it might be that your friend comes along and they say, oh, they're getting their new car, and you say, oh, what are you getting? And they say, oh, a Toyota Qashqai. And you go, oh, I've never heard of one of them. What's one of them? And they describe that to you, and you say, oh, right, oh, okay, lovely. And then the next thing, off you go about your day and about your business, don't you? And you're driving along the street, and the next thing you find, oh, there's one of them cars that my friend just told me they're getting one of them Qashqais. And then, you know, you go and park on the car park at work, and you find one that's parked in front of you. And then you come home that night and you look across the street, and blow you down, the neighbour's actually got one across the street, and you never noticed it before. So it wasn't that those things weren't there. It's just that you'd never told your mind that it was of interest to you. So therefore it ignored that information and filtered it out. But it did find information based on what you told it was interesting. So now you've told it a Toyota Qashqai is interesting, it went and found that information for you. How clever is that? That is brilliant if you think about it. What you need to ask yourself though is, what am I asking for? What is it that I must be saying to my crew in my mind, in my unconscious mind, that keeps bringing me stuff that I'm not enjoying? So if there's any, just ask yourself for a minute, what is in my life, what keeps recurring, what keeps coming up that I really don't want there? Things that keep happening. And you have to wonder why that is. So your mind will bring you information based on the, or evidence I should say, based on the information or instructions that you have given it, perhaps sometimes unbeknown to you. So another example might be, you might be driving along in a car, and it might be that there's a bit of a tight bend and there's a tree, and you might start saying to yourself, oh gosh, look at that tree, don't hit that tree, I don't want to hit that tree. And what you're actually saying to your mind there, the captain is saying to the crew, is focus on the tree, focus on the tree, focus on the tree. Now, of course, if you're driving and your focus is turned to the tree, the likelihood of you hitting the tree is much bigger than if you were saying, I'm going to focus on the bend and go round the bend safely. Okay. How likely is it that we say that to ourselves? It's quite unusual, isn't it, that we think like that. In my panic attack program, if you remember from last time, what I would have been saying to myself is, I don't want to have a panic attack, I don't want to have a panic attack. And my mind is then focused on information about what a panic attack means, rather than I want to be relaxed and calm when I go to the supermarket. And again, then my mind would focus on evidence that I'm relaxed and calm. Another one might be, we might say, I always fail exams. And then what we do is only remember the times when we've potentially failed exams, although we know there's no such thing as failure, don't we? There's only feedback. Thomas Edison, remember? Yet we will focus only on the pieces of information that demonstrate that to us, rather than the times when we did well in exams and we passed exams. So I hope that's making some sense to you. That what I want you to understand is you are essentially using a postcode in your mind of putting in the destination you want to go to. We need to start getting clever and careful about what the destination is we want to go to, not the destination we don't want to go to, okay? Because if we want to go to Spain, we don't write into the sat nav, do we? I don't want to go to France. We say direction Spain. Yet in our day-to-day life, for some reason, we often talk about the thing we don't want. And our brain can't process a negative. It has to think of the thing to not think of the thing. It has to think of the thing to not think of the thing, okay? So therefore, that starts off the dot-to-dot program running when we don't want it to. So bear in mind that your reticular activating system is really clever, and it can be really, really helpful. It can really, really support you to get where you want and to help you feel better if you get clever about the instructions that you give it. So if we go back to the end of that story, if you remember with the ferryman, the young girl had gone across this time, and she'd been saying how marvellous and lovely the people were on Fun Island, hadn't she? Compared to the gentleman who'd been saying that they weren't so nice. And as she still stands up to get off the ferry, she says, well, what are the people like? And the ferryman says, oh, you've got nothing to be concerned about, my dear. You're going to find the people on Dream Island exactly as you found them on Fun Island. Think about it. And while you're thinking about it, I'll just remind you again that we'll be doing a live personal training session on Saturday morning, or Paul will, and I'll be doing the adapted versions. I'll be back again with part 4 of Introduction Manual for Your Mind next week. If you want to know any more about us, go to the website www.mindgift.co.uk or go to our Facebook page, and you'll find our contact details, phone numbers, emails and things like that, or just drop us a message for any questions you want to ask us and we can help you more directly. Bye for now.